small number of mega cities are playing key role in organization of global economics and culture. Explain. Can you rewrite the question using some other words? Okay, but it should mean the same thing. Write down from my side and then tell me if it opens up something. Write down. Although the world has increasing urbanization and there are far more urban cities, the world has increasing urbanization and there are far more urban cities today than earlier. But the number of cities that impact the world trade, production systems, technology innovations are far less than what should be. These small number of cities also impact lifestyles. They also impact lifestyles, languages, cuisine, and many of the local traditional cultural elements are overwhelmed by such influences. So, topic abhi? See, दुनिया में आज के डेट में, I hope you understand this, ऐसा कोई जगह नहीं है जहां पर हो नहीं रहा urbanization. Every place has urbanization today. There are far more urban centers today than what we were earlier. Okay, today rural areas are much lesser. But in terms of impact, not all of them have impact. There are few centers. Okay, Singapore, Shanghai, Vietnam, Hanoi and Saigon, okay, Dhaka, New York always, Berlin, Delhi, Mumbai, okay, Bangalore, Sao Paulo. These few centers are impacting global trade. The economy को मैंने तोड़ दिया. They impact trade, they impact urbanization, sorry, industrialization, innovation, spread, technology, सब यही लोग कर रहे हैं. Those 2-3 centers. And even the cultures, McDonaldization, pizzas, okay, talk about the culture of noodles, okay, it's almost like few cultures are overwhelming all the others. I hope you got the point here. अब इस पे आप लिखोगे आंसर. Explain this. Explain this का मतलब होगा why. Explain this, give examples. Explain this will include consequences. You're kind of elaborating here. तो इसका essence ये है that inequalities are rising. इसका implication ये है that some centers have become dominant politically and also economically. Go on there. 3 challenge है आपका. पहले की क्वेश्चन समझो. सेकेंड इज इसमें ज्योग्राफी कहां लेके आओ. थर्ड इज स्ट्रक्चर करो. एंड आई रिमेंबर कि ये एग्जाम का क्वेश्चन है. कितना टाइम मिलेगा आपको सोचें लिखने के लिए. 7 मिनट में करना है. बट इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड द क्वेश्चन, नो, a bad answer will also be better than most answers. Competition है ना, right? Most of them struggle कि क्वेश्चन का मीनिंग क्या है. अब देखो how you began, and do you want to do dispute what the question means now? बताओ. The way I've explained it to you, कोई और version है तो बताओ, we can discuss that also. मेरे लिए obvious था. Small number of mega cities are playing a more important role. Mega cities always are influential. Issue ये है, the number of mega cities playing a role are very less. Now, can you tell me why? Why are small number of centers playing more important role? Yes, the small number of centers, they control the global supply chains of almost all products. There's a political dimension also. The economic factor is coupled with the political force. Fundamentally, इसका reason ये है, the way the economies have transformed in recent years. There are 3 important, powerful economic transformations हुआ है. One is IT technology. This technology का development है, okay, upgradation है. It's so high-end skills, not all centers and not all people can do it. Resource उसको side में रखा जाए. वो next point में. पहले ये है. See why this has happened today. is because a lot of globalization is run on IT technology. Okay, high-end technology, high skills required. And these developments cannot happen at all centers. Okay, so San Francisco, Bay Area concentration hai, Shanghai mein concentration hai, Delhi mein, partly in Bangalore, and some of the peripheral areas of Mumbai, Hyderabad mein centers hai. Tel Aviv has done well in some IT technologies. Okay? So IT is one reason. This one technology can't be controlled by all. That's one. Number two, the amount of capital market transaction involved. The globalization में ना बहुत high proportion of capital transfer होता है, and lot of it is internet based, stock market based, investment based. Those type of capital transaction can't happen from all the centers. It will happen from certain big centers. So no matter how much Delhi tries, it can't beat Bombay here. Okay? The capital market. Third reason is many of the centers have come up in the developing worlds of yesterday because these centers control labor markets. Cheap labor, right? Dhaka controls labor markets. Labor market control London thodi karta hai aaj ke date mein. Labor market control is not done by even New York for that matter. Yes? So outsourcing technologies, offshoring technologies, and linked to this is the process called as deindustrialization of the West. Okay, or ye cheez can't be done for all cities in the developing countries. The US is offshoring technology. It will not go to every center. It will go to maybe Delhi or Mumbai or Calcutta, some centers. So IT technology reason hai. Capital market, the quantum is the reason. It can't happen everywhere. Third is labor market control in some centers. And on top of this, some of these centers have this political influence also. They're centers that dominate global political trends. Tokyo, Shanghai, Singapore, New Delhi, okay, Sao Paulo. So ये जो issues हैं, the political influence, okay, internet-based trading, capital market transactions, okay, these cannot be distributed equally across the entire world. And isme, there's also a role of the global institutions. What kind of role WTO plays, what kind of role the UN plays, okay, what kind of role IMF and World Bank plays. Unka bhi role hai. So hence, okay, few cities are playing the important role. And driven by the economic and the political influence, we also have cultural globalization. जो culture dominate करते हैं, वो कौन से कर रहे हैं culture? Not every culture, right? So Indians in US, the Indian culture dominates from the small cities, from the major cities of India. ठीक है? Shanghai dominates. So Chinese cuisine dominates. I hope you got the point here. Language का भी वही कहानी है. Okay. The cities dominating the world, they also control soft elements of culture. Language, literature, cuisine. So essentially, ये जो pattern है, this pattern is related to what? The trend of the globalization process of the 80s and 90s. इसका consequence क्या है? Consequence is again increasing disparity at the world level. Almost neglect of Africa hai, neglect of Central Asia hai, neglect of Latin America hai, neglect of Eastern Europe hai. South Asia may be 2-3 cities dominate. Delhi, Mumbai, Dhaka, मे बी कोलंबो, अब तो कहानी डिफरेंट है, ठीक है, बैंकॉक, थाईलैंड. सो देयर आर इंक्रीजिंग डिस्पैरिटीज बिकॉज ऑफ दिस. और इसका कॉन्सिक्वेंस है कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, ग्रोइंग डिस्ट्रस्ट. वर्ल्ड लेवल पे देयर इज अ डेलिबरेट डिजाइन टू शिफ्ट द इक्वेशंस. जैसे कि आपका एंटी चाइना सेंटिमेंट्स, we have reordering of the global geopolitics, the rise of Indo-Pacific as a concept. यही small cities, they represent an entire changing geopolitics. ठीक है? इसी के वजह से there has been a progressive decline of Europe economically and also in terms of political influence. Decline of Europe. Decline of Europe का reason as a reason है why Russia becomes ambitious. एक आर्टिकल बहुत अच्छा आया है about why Russian ambition क्यों बना. इसी का रीजन है the Russia-China collaboration also. Shanghai, Moscow. So what are the consequences of this? Okay, those small cities, they control political, they control economic. They are the ones who are changing the geopolitics, realigning of the geopolitics. And इसी का consequence है the demand for reforming the global institutions, including UN. I mean, UN बहुत सब कुछ आ गया, WHO, क्या FAO, everywhere. Fine. So I've given the background to all of you now. अब इसमें आप डालोगे geography. Geography comes with maps, regional patterns. Somebody was saying resource, no? ये game resource का है ही नहीं. अगर resource का game होता, the big cities would have been African cities. Yeah, the important ones would have been Central Asian one. Kabul होता important. भाई cheap labor सबसे cheapest तो अफ्रीका में है. Why? Problems of skills, poverty. अगर skills नहीं है, okay, to man the IT technologies, मैं क्या करूंगा with Uganda and Namibia and Angola? You ignore them. I remember a very powerful sentence. I don't know where I read it. Maybe I shared it with you. It says, if you look at the economic history of the world always needed the poor population. Okay, look at the rise of Britain. उनको Indian cheap labor important था उनके लिए. Work as farmers, work as soldiers, mercenaries. You needed the poor countries and their people. ये पहली बार हिस्ट्री में ऐसा है ग्लोबलाइजेशन में where the rich does not need the poor anymore. Because अगर आपका ऑटोमेशन आ गया, I don't need the poor labor at all. और वैसे भी poor guys can't buy my products. ना वो प्रोडक्शन के पार्ट है, ना कंजम्पशन के पार्ट है. All I need is the land and that resource. So go eliminate the people. Because your trade is high-end automobiles, high-end computers, talking about capital market, okay, high-end commodities की बात हो रही है ना. I'm talking about trips and trims की बात हो रही है. Who cares about the small farmers? And this is changing the equation of the world power. So globalization, the process that we started 80s and 90s में, that's creating this problem. Small cities and few, not small cities, few cities, they dominate. Okay, the entire ecosystem of economies of the world. हाँ, but cheap labor of what kind? Cheap labor जो अंग्रेजी पढ़ा हुआ है और सेमी स्किल्ड है या फिर स्किल्ड लेबर है. अगर चीप लेबर ही होता कहानी ना, यू वुड हैव गॉन टू अफ्रीका. आईटी इंडिया में क्यों आया? चीप है प्लस एडुकेशन है, वो डिफरेंस है. एंड इन टाइम ये भी बन जाएगा ऑब्सोलीट इफ यू हैव ऑटोमेशन. सारे कंटेंट डेवलपर्स आर गेटिंग ओवर विद चैट जीपीटी. ठीक है, तो टीचर का इंपॉर्टेंट रोल यही रह जाएगा, आपको बताना कि क्या ढूंढो. प्रॉब्लम तो ये है ना, सी वॉट एवर यू नीड एज इंफॉर्मेशन इट्स देयर इन विकिपीडिया, इट्स देयर इन योर चैट जीपीटी ऑल्सो, यूट्यूब में भी है यार। प्रॉब्लम आपको पता नहीं कि क्या ढूंढेंगे क्या, बिकॉज क्वेश्चन समझ में नहीं आ रहा ना। एक बार क्वेश्चन समझा दिया, नाउ यू नो व्हाट लुक एट। सो कंटेंट डेवलपर्स, ओके, जो मैकेनिकल वाले हैं, एनसीईआरटी को समरी करके दे दिया आपको, वो स्कैन करके वन बटन, वो अपने आप सिस्टम इज गिविंग यू समरी फॉर। ठीक है, यू नीड दैट स्किल्स अल्टीमेटली अलोंग विथ द कॉस्ट। क्वेश्चन का आइडिया हुआ आपको? नाउ गेट इनटू द आंसर एक्चुअल। देखो, जो मैंने आपका रिफ्रेज किया क्वेश्चन, राइट, वही बन गया आपका एक्सप्लेनेशन। दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ द इंट्रोडक्शन। दिस वन वेरी स्मार्ट वे ऑफ राइटिंग दिस काइंड ऑफ आंसर्स, कि उसी क्वेश्चन को ना रिफ्रेज कर दो। द रिफ्रेजिंग itself is your introduction. Okay, now think of the diagram. Old economy, new economy. Old economy based on raw material, old economy based on physical trade of commodities. Old economies had agrarian and manufacturing. New economies based on technology, high end. New economy is based on large capital goods transaction. New economies based on virtual and digital mediums. Okay? New economies based on a skilled and cheap labor. यहां पर largely unskilled and cheap labor. ठीक है? So new economies में very a few cities of the world dominate the global economy. These are new cities and new urban centers, not the traditional large cities. Because of this, a rise of Shanghai, Guangzhou, Taipei, Delhi, Bangalore, Tel Aviv, Sao Paulo, etc. And there is decline of all the European centers, Paris, London, Berlin, Madrid, okay, Spanish colonies, who cares about them? Okay. Amsterdam, okay, Dutch, okay, Italian, Rome, decline of the older cities. So think on a diagram of this type. Okay? The body. A few cities dominate the global economic landscape because अब आप करो elaboration करो 1 2 3 4 points. ठीक है? Pick up the points from discussion. The above cities also dominate the cultural landscape. The crude English, एकदम जो English है, this is declining. Okay, there is increasing and enlarging vernacular market. Are you aware of this one? So rise of vernacular language is example of cultural. Okay, every education system of vernacular की बात कर रहे हैं ना. Okay, similarly certain Asian cuisines, they are becoming popular. We also have a rise of Asian cultural values. Example देंगे आप? Yoga, meditation is the catchword. Yes. देखो ये आंसर में ध्यान रहे एक चीज में. The question says two parts, no? Economic and cultural. But please don't give equal weightage. Cultural को short रखना, not much to elaborate here. You must elaborate this part here. Okay. The discussion should start with globalization here. Start with globalization here. अब इस आंसर में बताओ कहां आप ज्योग्राफी डालेंगे आप. One is, while discuss cities, can you apply the concept of cumulative causation? Few centers of advantage are proliferating very fast. Okay? There is a shift. There is a geographical shift in economic centers. This is changing spatial patterns. You know, pura economy shift ho raha towards Asia. The economic fulcrum is shifting towards Asia. Yes, geographic advantage in terms of जो आपका globalization led है, not in terms of resource. Okay. Now in this, can you see the most cities hai of Asia? It's almost like they're consolidating the rimland locations. Yeah, there is an element of consolidation of the rimland importance. You can see this in rising importance of Indian Ocean. The small number of cities are along the Indian Ocean littoral zones. तो मुझे geography लेके आना है. I have to force some of these points there. Spatial pattern in terms of that. ठीक है? अच्छा. When talking about culture, can you talk about innovation diffusion? याद आ रहा है कुछ? Hierarchy वाला जो concept है. Okay. There is a hierarchy based innovation diffusion. The centers which are in power and control, unke cultures become more important. ठीक है? Okay. So these take care of the geography and the body. Conclusion. Talk about the consequences. What are the consequences? Yes, conflicts, inequalities. Okay. बताया ना, geopolitics बताया, वो change हुआ, Indo-Pacific rise हुआ. Okay. Pivot towards Asia as a concept. Russia's insecurities. Yeah, the few centers. India's unease because of, again, okay, economics controlled by a few centers in China. बनेगा आपका आंसर अभी आपका? Yes. It is basically, you can say, beyond the traditional Anglo-American and European influence. Yes. See, as a part of our pedagogy and what we are doing, जो drive चाहिए आप लोगों को ना, to work with that passion, to work with that sincerity, and you have to understand UPSC कर क्या रहा है? UPSC is testing your deep analysis skills. It's testing your deep thinking skills. And somewhere, link this with development issues. सारे questions वैसे ही हैं, देखो आप. Development, poverty, inequalities, हर जगह वही आ रहा है tone. I asked a workshop, some of you were there, कि आपका core of GS कहां पर है? The core of GS is development issues. आपको उसको समझना होगा and apply that. I move towards conflicts, inequalities, और मैंने तीनों वैसे ही किया है आपका. I keep talking about inequalities. So my suggestion to all of you here is, we'll do this more often, ठीक है? Now one suggestion to all of you, and please take in right spirit here. I have been asked this question. Sir, what drives you? Okay, and what drives, okay, whatever you do? And these questions I have asked my teachers. I have been very fortunate. I have worked with some of the best people and mentored by some very good people. Some of them are almost who's who of the industry. I've been their students, I've been their colleagues. उनसे बात होती है, and I have asked them this question also. What drives you? And the common question that answer that came to me always was, कि Shabbir, it was less about teaching the subject. It was more about the passion from where we started. And that opened things for me. Where did I mean, I hope most of you start from there. You start the idea of influencing a society. Although at some level you might have your own selfish interests, कि अच्छा status होगा, ठीक है, but कहीं ना कहीं all of us are driven by the passion, या कुछ change करेंगे, अच्छा करेंगे, solve the problems of development concerns. So when some of the teachers could not qualify, what drives many of us is seeing you guys qualify is part of ensuring that development happens the way we thought we would contribute. Uska root wahi hai, the country, the society. So you're not reading geopolitics to mug up. You're reading geopolitics to understand India ka kya position hoga, what role India can play. जब पढ़ते हो about society, culture and poverty issues, it's not about mugging up data. Urban problem is not mugging up data. वो development angle बहुत strong होता है. That's why when we talk about geography issues also, ना कहीं I keep telling you कि development क्या है, agriculture क्या है. We talk about that. So one suggestion to all of you, it has driven me and I hope it drives you. All of you seriously consider what change you want to bring for the country. That will drive you a different level. आप क्या करना चाह रहे हो? मैं almost हर second, third day में I am with students interview के लिए. Why IAS is such a difficult answer for most of them, because they have not thought about it. As simple as that. Yeah, पता भी है, so they have never voiced it. They have never talked about it openly. तो कहीं conviction missing है. So I would want you guys to have a strong conviction. Development, equality, environment, okay, justice, fairness, okay. Look at environment topics. हर जगह forest, tribes, technology, environment issues, हर जगह वो issues हैं.